Or it'll say good day to you all. We thank you for the co-creation of this interaction and for allowing us to transmit to you in this way our perceptions, our perspective of various ideas, various concepts that we will now discuss. Let us begin by allowing yourselves to relax and allow yourselves to simply, naturally, easily, and effortlessly absorb the following information that we shall entitle, as you say, to you, to use, in whatever way your imagination so desires, and which you shall entitle yourselves to use, in whatever way your imagination so desire, the following information that we shall title this and that, which shall be subtitled the spectrum of reflection. This and that. We have many times in our transmissions to you talked about the state of being that we find many of you have been operating in for many years based on certain belief systems that you have been taught, based on certain definitions that you have been brought up with, based on these beliefs and definitions that you apply to many given situations in your lives, that you will more often than not, based on these beliefs, look at situations and apply to them this or that. You will see things as this or that, as that or this, when in most situations you would actually find greater benefit and greater understanding and greater facility in transforming the situations into the effects that you prefer by addressing the situation from the perspective of this and that. Because all things exist at once, and even though we understand that by having a certain frequency, by having a certain definition, that you will experience one thing or another, we are not attempting in this understanding to eliminate the idea that you are experiencing one thing at a time. However, in many circumstances within the thing you are experiencing, within the situation that you are experiencing, it actually does not help you to further break down that experience into a this or that situation. Because when you do, you are not allowing yourselves the benefit of the unifying principle of the positive and constructive energies and states of being that would give you an understanding of how to allow the circumstance to serve you in a positive way. Because by addressing it, by perceiving it, by viewing certain circumstances and certain options within circumstances, and as you view certain qualities within certain circumstances as a this or that situation, you create and set up for yourselves a dichotomy, a polarity, a conundrum that does not allow you a holistic, big picture view of the circumstances to the degree that would allow you to understand how to transform things into the effects that you desire, into the effects that you prefer. By breaking down certain circumstances into this or that situations, you limit yourselves and create negative energies, negative states of being that allow you to become confused and caught up in certain kinds of repeating loops. Because on one hand, the higher mind will sense that everything is a this and that circumstance, that you always have the option of accessing any and all opportunities within any given scenario. While the physical mind limited by certain belief systems and definitions that you've bought into that are not aligned with your preferred self, that are not aligned with your true vibration, will perceive things in this puzzling, paradoxical, shall we say, polarized kind of way, where it can only be one way or another. And thus then preventing yourselves from being capable of seeing and experiencing a much broader perspective, a much bigger point of view, and limiting the options available to you by assuming that if one thing is this, that it can only be this, and that it cannot contain the other. This is where you begin to learn how to use paradox in its most beneficial form and not in its negative form. How you learn to balance polarity in its most positive way and not experience the results of the negative interpretation. This or that perspectives will only allow you the limited ability to perceive whatever opportunities, doorways, whatever, shall we say, options are available to you that are connected to the thing that you are focusing on, and will not allow you to experience the opportunities that are available to you with its polarity, with its polar opposite, by eliminating the connective energy of and by thus then focusing only on or circumstances in an or mentality, a this or that mentality. You truly prevent yourselves from expanding your consciousness and from seeing things from a broader point of view, a broader perspective. And you actually shut the doors through which different inspirations, different imaginings, different perspectives could come to you, because you are not being inclusive, you are being exclusive. Expansion of consciousness is the product of inclusivity, not exclusivity. Many people on your planet, when they begin to learn certain spiritual and metaphysical principles, will actually take an old style route, an old style approach to the idea of absorbing and learning about these metaphysical principles, and will actually contradict their ability to truly absorb these principles in the most positive way by thinking that as they expand or explore the further reaches of their consciousness, that certain other things ought not to occur, that it's got to be either this or that. In other words, if you are in your mind sometimes believing that you are exploring the idea of the expansion of your consciousness, you often set up ultimatums within yourself. Well, if I am experiencing the idea of the expansion of consciousness, then I have to experience it in a certain way. And if I experience it in another way that might be more reminiscent of the way things used to be, then something is wrong. I'm not expanding. It's a this or that ultimatum. I either experience this or I experience that, and there can be no blending of the two. There can be no meeting of the minds. There can be no blending or melding of these ideas, because from the perspective you have set up, from the perspective you have created, it is an exclusivity issue, and there is only room for one thing and not room for another, and both cannot coincide, cohabit the same space at the same time. Nevertheless, they actually do, in a manner of speaking. Since all things exist now, in reality, even though different frequencies of things may make them appear to be exclusive or excluded, on the fundamental level, they all exist in exactly the same space at exactly the same time. Everything that exists now. It is this and that, 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 and that. Now, granted, certain expressions of this and that maybe more or less relevant to what you immediately need to experience. And again, we are not eliminating the idea of focus in this. We're not talking about the idea that you must somehow experience such a multitude of things all at once that you become confused and befuddled. It's not what we're saying. We understand that because of your linear space-time reality, you are going to experience things one at a time. And in that context, yes, you are using the idea of exclusivity and focus and limitation to your benefit to keep you focused in a certain experience and have no other experience that interferes with it. But that's not what we're saying. The this and that we're referring to is that within any one exclusive given experience, there are still a number of ways to view that experience more holistically, with a broader perspective and a broader understanding that allows you the opportunity to examine all possible options that are relevant to that single experience. It's just that when you use the mechanism of limitation and exclusivity to help you focus through the ego structure on a single experience, you often, out of habit, unconsciously continue to apply the same exclusive principle within the single experience, and that's where you often create difficulty and negative limitation for yourselves. Because you think you have to continue the same process that brought you that single experience, that limited your focus down to that single experience in order to get the full understanding of that experience. And that's where the true positive paradox comes in. Once you have focused down in a manner that creates or attracts to you a particular single experience at any given moment, in truly understanding what that experience is all about and how you can use it to maximum effect and maximum benefit, you actually have to expand back out, expand your focus back out, broaden your focus back out within that single experience in order to fully benefit and fully extract from that single experience all of the things it has to teach you, all the opportunities it has to provide for you, all the doorways it has to offer you, to open for you, to allow you to truly have a full experience of that single event. This is where balance comes into play. Balancing the energies of limitation and expansiveness in a very, very playful, very open way that will allow you to focus when you need to, allow you to be exclusive when you need to, allow you to use limitation when you need to benefit yourselves, while at the same time allow you to use the expanded point of view, the holistic and holographic point of view within that single experience to reap the benefit of everything that that single experience has to offer to you. Again, this is the point of power in paradox, is learning that it's this and that. And here we see a perfect example of using the idea of exclusivity and inclusivity simultaneously in a this and that scenario instead of a this or that scenario. It is thus then an art form of a sense to learn how to focus down and expand out. Focus down and expand out. This is similar to what we have spoken of with regard to the idea of visualization and manifestation. Visualization and manifestation. In the sense that in visualization, you are focusing on an image, bringing it down to a particular, specific, exclusive, representative image of the reality you prefer. And once the energy builds up, the excitement builds up as a result of that particular symbolic visualization, thus then the idea is to just hold on to the energy state and let the vision go and expand back out into a completely non-focused state of being. In a sense, surrendering the vision, as you say, and no longer insisting that that particular vision has to come true in order for the accurate and appropriate and relevant manifestation to occur. Because as we have said, the higher mind knows how something is truly going to happen, but the physical mind does not. So in letting go of that limiting, specific, symbolic visualization and just allowing the energy to remain, you are thus then expanding back out into the idea of letting the higher mind bring you whatever the actual representation, whatever the actual manifestation is of the energy state that the visualization generated within you, reflected to you. So it is a similar idea, similar art form of focus and letting go, focus and expansion, that we are talking about now with the idea of the this or that and the this and that situation and scenario. This or that brings you down to the idea of a state of being where it does not seem that other routes are possible to allow manifestations to occur, to allow things to transform. While this and that is always allowing, always leaving an opening for something to occur that is unexpected, always allowing you to examine and explore more options and more opportunities that you may not have previously been able to consider. Because again, remember, the other principle that we have talked about is that you cannot perceive the vibration of something you don't already contain first. You have to be on a certain wavelength in order to perceive the things that are relevant to that frequency. And if you allow yourself only the this or that scenario, the this or that limiting focus within any particular individual scenario, then you are truly making it very, very difficult, very improbable that you will be capable of seeing other avenues, other routes, other opportunities that you could take in order to manifest certain states of being. But when you approach this single event, any single event, at any given moment that you have created with your positive limitation, your positive exclusivity, and thus bring into that positive exclusive moment the expanded point of view of this and that there are many ways to allow this to manifest, many different routes by which this could manifest, then you will allow yourself the ability to actually perceive those opportunities, to perceive those doorways, to have the inspirations come into your imagination from the higher mind that allow you the ability to see what the path actually needs to be to allow the manifestation that is reflective of the energy state you are creating in that single eventful moment, allowing the manifestation that is truly representative of that energy to manifest. And again, please remember, manifestation is not attracting something to you from somewhere else. Everything already exists right here, right now. You already, in a sense, have it. You already, in a sense, are it. Manifestation is simply being in the energy state that allows you to be able to perceive, to make visible to you what is already here, that is now invisible to you. But you already contain it. You already have it. It doesn't come from somewhere else. That's why it's so important to watch the definitions and start transforming all the definitions that are part and parcel of the this or that scenario into this and that kind of energy, so that you can start realigning your definitions, such as this definition we have just discussed of manifestation. Because when you operate from a this or that perspective, it creates the idea of separation, and thus creates the idea that, well, something is either here or it's not. It's over there or it's not. Instead of understanding that it may appear to be there and it is also here. You need to start linking, unifying these kinds of definitions within any given individual scenario, within any individual given concept, in order to really begin to understand how to simplify your relationship with creation and help you understand the nature and structure of existence, in that everything is one thing and every moment is one moment. So when you understand it from that point of view, it's no longer this or that, it's this and that. Everything is there and everything is here. Everything is here and everything appears to be there. It's all the same idea. It's just a different perspective. And by having the this and that perspective, it will allow you to understand that. It will allow you to see the bigger picture that includes all of those positions, all of those descriptions, all of those definitions that work for you, instead of the this or that scenario that starts excluding other definitions as being impossible, improbable, not capable of actually occurring, not capable of being relevant, and not capable of being perceived by you as another way to look at the nature and structure of your event as it is framed against the nature and structure of existence itself. We will assume that at least some of what we are saying is clear. And we will assume that if any of what we are saying is not clear, you will attract whatever you need to understand it more clearly through the synchronicity in your life, because you know that even though there may be only certain things you know now, you will know more in the next moment and the moment after that you have created, because it's all the same moment and contains all the information. All right here, all right now, all accessible to you when you allow yourself to be in the moment. You will thus then perceive more of what already exists in the moment. This and